Hey friends, Don here, drblast.com. This is a 66 Mustang K Code car. Long story short, the customer hired me to media blast the underside of the car, which I never do. It's just too difficult, but he insisted on doing it. So I had to cover up all the paint, and I measured the paint, and it was like quarter-inch thick in some places. The car was full of Bondo. Car was a piece of junk. I told him that. He didn't believe it because, of course, when you buy things online, you always get a good deal, right? So he fell prey to that. So anyways, here we are at the end of the build, about a year and a half later, almost a year and a half. And every panel has been replaced on this car except for the upper body panel and the roof and the dash and some parts of the outer rockers. But 2 new frame rails up front, 2 new frame rails in the back, complete floor, new seat platforms, firewall, top cowl, middle cowl. He wanted to resave these aprons on both sides because of the numbers, which I understand. I told him it'd been better if we just cut the numbers out and weld them in. He goes, "Are you good enough?" And I said, "Yeah, I can do it." But the car, well, anyways, before I get to that part, we did finish that, but this is really a big challenge to get that thing square again, because this car was hit in the front. You get to know a car pretty well after about a year and a half of working with it. Car was hit in the front. The car was a rollover. This whole, driver's quarter was crushed, all in here. The inner support structure, that stuff over there, but this side was all crushed in. I had to rebuild everything. This right here, the upper body panel, I cut this part off, and of course I cut this part of the roof off to allow the quarter to go on and off easier. But this whole part from my finger over was pushed in and dented down, and this is full of Bondo. If you look at drblast.com, look at 66 K Code Mustang, you'll see the pictures of this car. But this has been a big job. So what I wanted to just show right now is just the status of this car. This car was all cut apart in here. There was no structure underneath in here to hold the window in. I don't know how it was held in, but it was barely held in. There was nothing there, so I had to build all that structure from scratch. Now somebody had cut the roof off also, chopped it here, here, and here on both sides, replaced the roof, because you can see that it has the little nipples and then it has the screws. So one's a 65, one's a 66. I don't know which one is which. It's hard to say. My 65 Mustang Fastback is right there, and that one has the nipples. So I don't know if this is an early 66 or whatever, late 66, it's hard to say. But this has been a chore. This has been a big job. And this part right here, I had to cut that a couple different places to get this smooth line right through here. So how the upper body panel lays down. But I had to pull the whole thing up a lot because this was all crushed, and you can see some of the cut marks. The grinder marks from the previous repairs. Of course, that'll all be, sanded down and all. But I'm starting the final welding this thing in. Just want to share a couple of observations I've made. These are really good panels, the new Dynacorn with the weld-through primer. But there's a couple things here, like there's a couple cracks there. So if you're doing these quarters, watch out for those cracks because they'll come and bite you later. So I drilled a little hole there. You can see here's a crack, and drill a hole and I'll weld that in. Because that would sure bite you in the butt later on. Same thing here, there was a crack, so I'll weld that in. And here, this car needed a new trunk pan, and it even needed a transition pan, which is a lot of work. Inner and outer wheel houses. This tail panel is a NOS one I got from, it was on the ground actually up at Mustang Mania here in Texas. And it's better condition than his. his old one, so I media blasted that and put it in. I put these brackets in yesterday, and it bothers me when I see the aftermarket brackets put in and their holes are all not aligned. It kind of bugs me, and so I had to, trim that down a little bit, the bracket on the inside, to get that fit these holes to align. The deck lid fits on there. It's lined up properly. The gaps are good, which is good. You must have that. Here's what this side looks like. The gap in it, because I pulled that off and pulled that off, obviously. But a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work, and because we changed out the rear frame rails, the new floor pan I cut right here and just built the car from here forward, because the frame rails had to come out and be replaced. So once we got the front part of the car done, we got the new frame rails in, and then this part right here we welded back in, and then transition pan had to get replaced, which was really, this is a tough thing to do. If you have to change out that, then you're really deep in your car. It's debatable whether or not this car was even worth fixing, but it is a K Code car. So hopefully he'll have the best one out there. We'll see. We will see, hopefully. It's a dying art, what we do, the few of us that do this. I was a metal worker in the Army of 44 Bravo and 44 Echo. So I kept proficient at doing these things, and then one day I was finished up a guy's, what was it? It was a Chevelle Super Sport, full of holes, and he saw me working on this car, which is a 69 Plymouth, and that's a 5.7 in there, by the way. He saw me working on that, and he's like, "Oh man, can you do that to mine?" And I'm like, "Well, I can." So my media blasting business is still primary, but the metalworking is pretty much what I do 90% of the time. So it's difficult to find skilled people, but it is what it is. I enjoy doing it, and there's a few of us that I know that really like it, and they're really good. They're really good. I've had a lot of people come through here wanting to work, that say they can do all this kind of work, but they're hacks. They don't know what they're doing. They never went to welding school, and they think that they're pros. It's really just discouraging, because there's a lot of customers out there that need work. This is an Alfa Romeo I'm doing too, but they need work done on their cars, and there's no skilled people. Or there's people that claim to be skilled, but they don't have any skill set. They run their welders really cold. I'm welding sheet metal, and look where I am on the heat. So, I run really hot torches, so I always have. But anyways, it's hard to find people. I'm always going to do good work, or at least do the best I can. And it's always good to see resources on the internet, Facebook and stuff, that shows good quality people, and also you can see some of the horrible stuff people do too. Anyways, this is the 66 K Code, and this is a status update on the 25th, or maybe, I don't know, 25th or 26th of April 2019. And I'll say, as we said in Germany, tschüss, but I am an American. God bless America. Go Trump. See ya. Bye.